Welcome to the official preview show for Winner Takes All number 4. I'm joined by the young, not so young anymore, Guy Lazarus and Miss Stephanie Graham. We are going to run through the card, what we think, what we expect, what we hope to see. Welcome, guys. Thank you for your time. Firstly, Steph, G-Laz. A lot of stuff to get into. We've obviously got 8 super fights. We've got a quintet as always, and then the 8-man, and at the top of the super fights, the ladies' inaugural title fight, which we're massively excited about. So a lot to get into. Obviously, first in the super fights, as we structure the cards, we kind of try to stick to the system where we're starting with a sort of youth kind of fight, and then building up prospectus in blue belts, and try and go through the range like purple all the way to brown. As much as we can. It obviously always doesn't work out, but we get pretty close, and I think we've got pretty close on this one. Just off the bat, we don't have a combat fight for this one, for reasons that will be revealed later as we go on in the new year. We're gonna have some exciting stuff on the combat side. It's just been, we wanted to put up a heavyweight title. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, so we didn't want to force something else into the situation. So that's what we're banking on, a heavyweight title for the combat stuff that's coming in the new year. We've got a cool idea that's coming through. It's going to be very interesting. So don't hack me on why there's no combat. It is coming, just not on this card. That's it. So in the super fights, we're bringing back, starting off with the youth, young Justin Walker versus Yusuf Hansrod. Obviously, Yusuf is the prospect that everybody was talking about. We saw him, he took his first loss on our stage against Reece Jory in the last one. And it was quite interesting because there was a lot on the line for both those guys. It was their division in the 8-man that was coming up. Would they be able to win here and then go compete in the 8-man? Yusuf's camp was quite determined on getting him up to face an adult opposition, which I wasn't quite sure. That was the big test. If he got through Reece Jory, then we were off to the races. And it was kind of the same thing for Reece Jory. And we obviously slotted him into the 8-man. We had a long chat with these coaches. They were quite keen. Unfortunately, he is now injured. Justin Walker is the brother of Gift Walker. He's been on a bit of a tear as well. This kid he's impossible to submit. He's got that youth kind of face where he never seems to get tired. He's just a dog. He's an absolute dog, is the best way I can describe it. So a massively tough task for Yusuf. Obviously, he wants to come back and get back into the win column, and young Justin Walker is looking to stamp his authority on the big stage. Guy, any thoughts on this one? How much have you seen Justin Walker at all? He's been competing with us quite a bit, but he's starting
I actually had a bit of a roll with him at the last Sub Kings.
Yes, in the
Absolutos.
Absolutes, yes.
That was a fun little roll. He's comes across as a lot more top heavy, top game. He does come from a bit more of an MMA based gym. Like you said, his brother Skip Walker is, I guess, fighting for an EFC title soon.
Sure.
And then you're looking at young Yusuf, who's very much the technician from the bottom. Watching his fights at ADCC, he was very, tactically very aware of what's going on. Pulling guard at just before points and being able to pull off that sweep just at the end, if not get a submission before that.
Sure.
Very, tactically minded around things going on.
Sure. It's an interesting one because, like I say, Justin's got a hell of a pace, and like you say, Yusuf likes to be technical from the bottom. In the rules format, you could see he was starting to puzzle a bit with Reece, because Reece is also one of those guys, just doesn't go away, you know what I mean? And he does. Reece is always working to one sort of submission. He wants to get on a straight leg. That's what he does. And he's always working towards that, So it was interesting to see how Yusuf dealt with that. I think he would have learned from that. At times, he has to up the pace. And I think on that pace, that's going to be our theme for this event, is just upping the pace as much as we can in all aspects. So we're not going to allow a lot of stalling. We're not going to allow guys dragging that clock down. We're going to be quite insistent that the pace keeps up.
How exactly are you going to manage that?
So we had a long look. Obviously, in the last one, we noticed a lot of, I don't want to say time wasting, but a lot of playing the rule set, and credit to the guys that worked it out. Obviously, an overtime ruling is some guys will work to that overtime ruling, feel that they're going to be a bit stronger. Maybe their back escape is a lot. They've been working on that a lot, and that's a bit better. So 2 things we're looking at. The first one will be in the stand-up. So if there's a lot of negative sort of hand fighting, and I think we saw a lot of this in the ADCC, and the refs were quite good. They would pause and say, let's go, we've got to get going, but to not much of a great effect. We saw a couple of penalties being awarded, but like nothing too much that would insinuate action. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we want to get to. So the first one will be on the stand-up. How we clarify someone that's stalling is going to be a lot to do with the movement, like especially lateral across the mat, and obviously up and down towards corners. That's what we notice. So guys would tie up in the clinch, kind of go to like a double plum, pull back, release, and then walk back, kind of drag the opponent back and forward the whole time. It becomes quite obvious. So in that position, let's say if Steph's doing that to you and we say that you're stalling, you're going to get the option straight away. We're going to sit you down into it's a seated position. So you're going to, at the bottom, you'll have double butterflies and a connection of double underhooks, or you can be top position. So you'll have the choice. Okay. That's a sit down position that actually comes from combat jiu-jitsu. That's what they do. Like in the first minute, if it doesn't get to the ground, they flick the coin and the winner gets to choose a position. We'll be doing the same thing, except that someone's going to be penalized.
Okay. I'm very intrigued to see how that plays out.
So they get the choice of bottom position or top position.
Correct. Okay. So you can choose your at bottom double butterflies, double underhooks with a connection, and you get that choice. So we're forcing that action to the ground straight away. It's not going to be the refs. The briefing we've had with the refs is to give a warning straight after, give a second, and if it's still continuing and it becomes quite blatant, then we go. And we're looking at also on the ground. The ground becomes a lot harder because as we've learnt over the shows, a mount position, for example, in a sub-only setting, on the bottom, there's no onus for you to get out. Your onus is just to survive, run down the clock. If you're stuck there, you're stuck there, you know what I mean? But what we want to see is from attacking position, is that you're attacking, and from the bottom, you're at least making attempts to improve your position, escape or whatever. So we're looking at either a stand-up, and if it becomes too blatant on warnings, we're going to add 10 seconds onto your opponent's ride time at the end. So if it goes to an overtime, you're going to be a 10-second disadvantage if you've been deemed playing in a negative style, basically.
Huge.
That's big.
So why are we doing that is we actually don't want to see overtime. Overtime is there if it's a necessity. So our whole thought is to not have refs intervening or judges intervening, awarding winners based on objectivity. The water gets a bit murky. Obviously the sub-only rule set does have its cons, and we're trying to just add things in just to make it a little bit more user-friendly. We all know as jiu-jitsu people, the hardest part in selling jiu-jitsu is watching it.
Yes.
100% it is. It's just the way it is. So we have to find ways to make it as fast-paced and as exciting as possible. And so as we go, we learn, we're adding things. We'll pilot these things in this one and see how it works out. But I think competitors knowing in the back of their minds that there's going to be a penalty, whatever it is, for stalling, that it's going to urge them to pick up the pace. So yeah, those are the few things we're adding in to see a bit of action. Why it comes back to this fight, I think it's going to suit someone like Justin Walker, who's going to go
he's
hammer and tongs.
All forward, all action.
MMA, pressure, pushing forward. And like you said, Yusuf has a good bottom game as well. He's good with the legs, especially in his first fights and winner takes all one. Yeah, good entanglements there. Yeah,
so he's also one of those. It's funny, the younger guys, like he landed Tariq Plata, and he came to us and gave us, like he mentioned Tariq Plata, and we were all like, I'm not sure, I don't know how to set that up. And we actually went and watched the video on YouTube as we were getting ready, and then that's exactly how he set it up. Yeah. And it's quite hectic how like the youngsters have these visions in their heads that this is what they're going to do, and they go out and do it.
Must be nice to be young with no doubts. No doubts in your mind.
No stress. The system hasn't beaten you down. Yeah. Then lightweight matchup: Armand van den Berg versus Joel Peller. So just on Joel, obviously Joel came out for the original Quintet for PESFA. I think he matched up against Cam Pritchard. They went out to a draw.
No,
not Cam Pritchard. Sorry, Cam Simon. I was thinking about Cam Pritchard earlier. That's why it's in my head. Looked great. Chris was quite insistent on putting him in the 8-man. Said like he's moving really well. So he was on the list. Unfortunately for him, didn't quite get that deep into the reserves. But I did say to Chris, look, if he's that keen on coming out, let's see what we can find him. Armand is a teammate, Mr. Lazarus. We know a lot about him. He's a guy who's also been really doing well. He's back on the competition team. I think he's won ADCC. He won his division with us.
He's the only guy who tries to enter more competitions than me in the team.
Yeah.
Aggro Panda, as he calls himself.
Aggro Panda.
Super strong, super athletic. He actually used to be a professional black ops course runner.
Okay.
I don't know what that's actually called, adventure racing.
Yeah.
Was a full-time job at one point.
Okay.
And they've actually fought before. They competed at AJP Cape Town October last year.
Okay.
I believe.
In the gi.
They fought each other in no gi. I don't think they came across each other in the gi.
Okay.
Armand ended up winning that division, so obviously he won that match. I can't remember how it was won. If it was points or subs.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
One in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And Armand's been looking really good in the gym, and obviously really good at Sub Kings and ADCC, having won his division.
Sure.
You know, both divisions are all within like a month of each other. He's really like on point at the moment and doing well.
The other side with Joel Peller, one thing I know about Chris Bout is he's one of those guys you can go with like a blindfold and he can say a name and you'll trust that person's going to perform. That's how they are. They're very submission orientated. The jiu-jitsu is completely polished, and if he says someone's made big improvements, he means it. You know what I mean? And that's what's exciting.
Look at who he fought. He fought Cameron Simon.
Yeah.
Who's fought literally on some of the biggest stages in the world. Different sport, but the concept of BMT and being able to perform and just keep it going, you know, and he matched up.
Sure.
It wasn't like a complete walkover or anything like that.
One thing we've also tried to do is try and keep, I mean, these guys are realistically 66ers. It is a lightweight match. We're not big proponents of cutting for jiu-jitsu, but guys will cut to compete eventually. It's nice to have a look of what else is in that division that's featured in the 8-man. That's one thing we've tried to do quite a bit. So we're also building contenders at the same time. A couple of good wins here. Whoever wins here, we can give them a step-up challenge. From the 8-man, we can see, okay, this is kind of like, this dude did well, you did well, let's put them together and see where they go. So it's always cool to see where we go from there, which is a nice one.
Steph, anything you want to add?
I don't know too much about these guys on this card. You guys are obviously very experienced and knowledgeable about these ones. But I think it's going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah, you can expect a very high-paced matchup. That's what you can expect.
As you said with Pesva as well, mentioning that, I figured it would be...
it's going to be a super high-paced match. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously Joel's got he's got something to prove. He wants that win back.
Sure.
So it's going to be extra motivation.
Sure.
Yes.
On to the ladies, and you can start to get excited here, Steph.
Yes.
So just on this is one of those, again, where things always work out quite nicely. Leilani's been around a super long time. I remember competing at SABJJF, she was always there, she was always kicking ass, she was always like, how I remember Leilani, don't kill me about this, Leilani, is that every time you see her on the podium, she looked so serious, like she just destroyed and conquered, something had gone on, you know what I mean, she was like very serious. I was like, damn, definitely don't want to meet her on the mat. So she's been around a long time. She suffered quite a bad injury against Peyton. I think it was a heel hook or something. I don't know the exact details, but blew her knee. Yeah, so she's been on the road back really, and she's great, fierce competitor. And I think we know a lot about Cara. She's also this is a fire matchup. Leilani doesn't look the photo she sent. It's like she's all chill and smiling. Yeah. But she is an absolute savage on the mat. She is a killer.
How did she beat Neve in the finals at Sub Kings? It was like a armbar.
Yeah. She's high level, dude.
Yeah, she did well recently.
I just remember looking over and register who Leilani was at the time, and I was like, shoot, someone just smashed Neve, even though she's been smashing everyone else.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, she is super high level. She's got a lot of experience competing. So is Cara. It's an exciting matchup. This very, very exciting matchup.
Yeah, I watched Cara at ADCC recently against Monique as well, and she's got a good like judoka background on the standing, hip throws and tosses. So I think, definitely on the stand up as well. She's very strong.
I'm hoping Leilani decides to engage her on the feet. Not
just to see
some really awesome big throws, regardless of which way it's going. I just want to see that big action, like that arm drag to almost impale like Gabby Garcia.
What we did see in the quintet was Cara is she's nasty in that stand-up, dude.
Yes.
She will get in your face.
Yeah.
She will, and it's quite funny because she's like dealing with her. She's awesome. She's very sweet and friendly, but like I love seeing that switch over. You know what I mean? And she's kind of like, she does it with a don't care attitude, which is cool because so that tells me she's doing it on purpose just to get in your head, just to like a mental off balance, you know what I mean? Which is cool to see, and it's tough, dude. You don't deal with it. She's in your face. She's pulling on your neck
horrible.
and
lots of pressure. Lots of pressure.
So it's exciting, and when it hits the deck, I think we're going to find out a lot. Again, the same as Pesvo, we know what's coming out of Henzo's, and Henzo's has got this small group of competitors. You know what to expect. You know they're going to bring.
Yeah, everyone. Generally speaking, everyone coming out of there, you know, they're good competitors.
Yeah.
They've got good
Strong
mental
teammates.
approaches.
Yeah.
Good systems to work with.
So I'm excited. It's one of two ladies' fights. We were hoping for a third, but again, we're not forcing things on the card. It's kind of worked out. So this is a big one for us. It's going to be, and also at featherweight, I think it's our first featherweight matchup. Yeah, it is. So I mean, obviously through the ladies' quintet, there were featherweight competitors, but this is the first of this division, which is an interesting division. No one's kind of really cutting too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting fights that can come up. We still got Hannah has to come back to the country. There's someone else that I can't remember.
Was Kiara and Ushi featherweight?
No. That'll be 70.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it'll be lightweight, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's Kiara. There's Jess Hill seems to be back in the mix now.
Yes.
There's a lot of interesting matchups that we can start making.
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, Kiara Jess Hill was on our minds. Kiara obviously a little bit of a knee knock. I think it was anything too bad, but yeah, that one you will see very soon. Okay, so this one is supposed to be next, but I've decided to swap these around.
Awesome.
So we'll come out with the gi match again, a bit of a change. Classic Dylan, who's just wants to do anything. He's messaged me about many a scenario. He's like, if you want to have a small guy versus a big guy, I'm your small guy. He wants to do a gi match. He's pretty much done everything except for combat, but we're going to work on that with him. See if we can convince him.
That would be interesting.
He's got Sturge there. Maybe they're doing some striking in the secrets, you know?
Yeah, so Dul is the consummate gamer, wants to lead from the front with his team. Was originally pitted against Alan Cliff, which wasn't, no disrespect to Sean Maher, was an absolute barn burner. Purely based on like Sean's style is completely different. Alan is, as we've seen, the second it's go time, he's the same thing. He's just in your face and he just wants to go, you know, which would have been great to see how Dil deals with that. Obviously, Alan would have been a bit heavier as well. Dylan is going up a weight class here into the middleweight. I don't think it's like too far a stretch, a couple of kilos, maybe 10. I mean, nothing too bad. Nothing too bad for him.
He did say he's lifting more.
I don't think enough, to be honest. But yeah, so a nice gi matchup. We obviously the gis again we're going against because now gi we're going to slow things down. But we want to add more gi fights. We're trying to find the right fight. Like your gi fight, there was a lot happening. You know what I mean? Which was cool.
I tried.
No. There was a lot happening, to be honest. But we want to see someone like Dil. I mean, Sean's been competing in the gi also for a millennium, an absolute millennium. Again, back to the old SABJJF days. He was there competing. I feel like he's been a brown belt forever as well.
Even before SABJJF, I remember when I first moved up to Joburg, it was like 8 years ago, and Ching and them were running their own South African Grappling League or something. I remember watching him and be like, well, I can't remember if it was him or his brother, but I remember being like, oh my gosh, like these guys are so good. How am I going to be like that?
Yeah. Him and his brother were at a stage they were just like, they were just killing it, and specifically in the gi. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know how much time Dil spends in the gi these days because every time I'm there, he's in a
no gi.
So
for behind the scenes, there's a lot of gi happening.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. So yeah, very interesting matchup. Sean was in the original Quintet as well with Eastrand. I didn't get to see too much of him, but yeah, interesting setting this one. Interesting setup. So we still need like that breakthrough gi fight. That's what we're waiting for. Maybe this is it. We're gonna see.
Cool. Still trying to convince the Justin.
Absolutely. I love a gi fight. Don't get me wrong. I do love it. It is gonna be a little bit slower, but there's more intricacies. You know what I mean? There's You're looking at more things like how guys are getting into their grip fight, how they're winning the grip fight, how they're losing the grip fight, and so it goes.
I mean, that added, like, I obviously have my systems and my grips and all of that, and the way that Kylie was gripping me threw me off completely. It was like an entirely different system. Not that I haven't seen it before, but I haven't actually experienced in a live situation in years, and that completely threw me off in the beginning.
And from where we were sitting, he seemed surprisingly stronger than what everyone assumed.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, credit to him, he's pretty strong.
Yeah, which you could see it straight away. The second he got on the grips, you could see, okay, well, I can't actually get rid of this. And I think this is going to be, also for Dill going up a bit of a weight division, will be interesting, because you're going to have a guy, Dylan is very strong.
Yes.
This is one thing, if you've rolled with him, you'll understand. He's very, very strong. See how that translates to if we can say, a veteran gi competitor will be interesting.
See, but that's also, being smaller, I find sometimes the gripping or that can be to your benefit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you're able to like wedge into something to like stop them from sneeze slicing or whatever pass they're doing, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I do think that would be to his
What did he say?
benefit.
Doesn't know how to finish or to play wrist locks.
Yes. So fun fact about Dylan, he believes that he doesn't know how to finish or play wrist locks.
I mean, wasn't his team called the Filthy Wrist Lockers?
Yes.
And
Against his wishes. Against his wishes. That's not the name he wanted, it's just the name we gave them.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
Well, I think we've all seen the video of him trying to wrist lock Jamie Gemmell, so he can deny it as much as he wants. There was a definite attempt.
Well, he says he doesn't know how, so...
Yes, fair enough. Yes.
Well, clearly not.
Try.
I'm sure he's been practicing though. I mean, I love a wrist lock, if I'm honest. As you get older, they become more important. You want to move less.
So shady.
You want to move less. I'm just gonna take this.
Minimal effort.
It's right here. I'm just
maximum
gonna.
results.
Yeah, definitely become more intriguing as you get older. But yeah, so this one was quite hard because technically these are both up and coming blue belts. So according to our algorithm of building a card, they should be earlier on. But I think this is an exception. These are two guys that I don't really know how to describe them, but they are way beyond their belt, if that makes sense. They're highly competitive. Nico has just got his blue belt. I think Connor's had it maybe a little bit longer.
And the fact that Nico competed as a white belt, I think was also winner takes all number one, was really impressive.
Yeah.
He rolled way beyond his rank.
And he's been training for less than 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Which is even more crazy.
No, it's probably 2 years by now, but...
Yeah, maybe like just on 2 years, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, he got his blue belt about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer.
Sure.
He won his division, right? At Sub Kings now,
So we had a bit of a, let me say, not a tiff, but like, he was asking to get back on the card, but after Winner Takes All 1, he went back and competed in the beginners division with us. And I'm like, dude, you can't, like, you've got to decide where you are now. Yeah. This is a problem with not a problem, but this is a hard path for these guys to cross because their level is here, but they're technically still here. They've got to try and find the balance. But the same with Yusuf. I'm like, once you go into an adult competition on our stage, you can't go back. That's it. Like, you've made that step.
It's a fair rule.
Yeah. And it was kind of the same thing for Nico. Like, I encourage him, like, to come compete and do the sub-onlys so we know exactly where you are. If you come through and you win your division like you've done, perfect. Because then you've justified to yourself as well, not only just to us. These two guys, both tall, both lanky, long limbs, very different games. Massively exciting matchup. I'll be honest with you, out of all the fights, this is the one I'm most intrigued to see how these guys deal with each other. I think Nico might be a little bit stronger. I think Connor might be a little bit more technical. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Connor's predominantly like a guard player, shooting for those triangles and arm bars and sweeps. He does have some good wrestling. We've seen I remember watching, I think it was ADCC Cape Town when he won. I mean, he beat Desley, if I'm correct. Yeah. Beat his teammate Desley, who's renowned for like being the top pressure dude. And he still managed to win that. Yeah. And Nico, like, I mean, he played mostly guard against Bradley, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
but he's got some massive pressure. We've seen it at other local comps.
Sure.
And fared well against Bradley, like very high level guys.
Yeah, Bradley was one of the more experienced, like competing globally and stuff at HAPs. And I mean, they went the distance. They both had some good sub attempts on each other, good control points.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm super excited about this match. Actually, like it's just going to be like a fun fan favorite, I think.
Also important to know that Conor is realistically a welterweight. Like 77 is really where he belongs, but he likes to jump up. Like it's not.
What weight is this fight at? Middleweight. I was going to say he competed at the middleweight comp. He lost to JP.
Yeah.
I mean, JP's.
Yeah, you're also going to be out-muscled completely against JP. You know
Extremely tall.
Yeah. I mean, he caught Stefan Pretorius, who's a massive middleweight brown belt.
Yeah.
Literally fights for a living. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You can't. I mean, cool, you lost to JB Kruger. I'm like, I hear you, dude, but he's also like probably came from like 90 something odd kilos.
Yeah, exactly. Like JP is cutting. I mean? He's a
Yeah.
big human. Like that dude hugs me, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's good.
There's
You're
so
like,
much
not on the mat. Calm down. Love JP.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know, but you're saying he beat Stefan, who's a legit dude.
Who went on to absolutely. I think he won his. Did he come second or won his division?
Sorry, short-term memory loss,
Yeah.
guys. But
JP?
No, Stefan.
Yeah, JP won his division. But yeah, I mean, Stefan is like, I think, super high level. I think guys underestimate how good his jiu-jitsu is. I mean, that's a massive feather in your cap. And same for Nico. Both of these guys at a blue belt level have gone on to beat high-level brown belt guys. So they're definitely an exception to the rule. And these two kids are undoubtedly like, the future is ridiculous for them. Especially Conor, who's still under 20.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing about a lot of the guys on this card is like, look at their age and look what they're able to do already. I wish my knees bent.
We're so bruised and broken.
So yeah, this is a massively exciting one. I would imagine that the fight of the night will be produced here. I hope. It's a massive test, and this is one of those fights like there's no real losers here for these guys. Like this is a showcase for young jiu-jitsu in the country. I think that's the most important one.
What's this note about high jump for Nico?
So he coaches other sports. So rugby, cricket, high jump. So he coaches high jump.
I have a lot of questions. Is it at the same time?
Does it all happen together? I mean,
pentathlon coaching, kind of.
Considering the heights, it makes sense.
No, fair enough. Listen, I went to school, they made me do high jump. They're like, you have to try everything once. I was like, cool guys, I hear you, but maybe something's just on for me.
So you did one high jump,
I
one
did one.
and
I had no idea what to do.
After that.
That's funny.
The problem is our school was like it, so when athletics came around, you had to do everything. So like, I mean, I did discus for most of my high school career. Shot put, there was javelin, hurdles, sprints, 1500s. I'm like, there's some things just on for us to try, if we're honest. Like, but anyway, it was a good time. Great experience.
At least you're well-rounded. Yeah, see?
It was either shot put or discus for me, if we're honest.
I'm not going to make.
Okay, yeah, we don't need to continue. On to the next super fight.
Okay, so a black belt showdown between two OGs of the competition scene who have been doing it for longer than I can remember or longer than I have been in jiu-jitsu. Great custodians of the sport, carry themselves really well, but on a competition side it's hard without being like they haven't been hitting their groove like they once had, for example. I mean, Jamie's been putting on great shows, so has Chen. So try to find a balanced matchup for them, and I think we've done a perfect job here. Two very, very well experienced competitors up against each other. This is like also again, it's just a massive display of jiu-jitsu in the country, which is exciting. You're going to struggle to find nicer guys. They're really cool about how they're going to handle their business, but exciting. It's going to be an exciting matchup.
It's two guys with good all-round games. I mean, obviously they're good all-round games. They wouldn't be where they are if they weren't.
Absolutely.
But they're probably going to laugh at each other during the match, but then try and kill each other at the same time,
Yeah.
There'll be a bit of banter, a bit of laughter, but it's all business.
This is Nogi, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Okay, I'm trying to think the last time I saw Brandon Newman and Nogi, that was obviously the Quintet against Drickus and all of that.
Yeah.
But before that, I remember one or two of his matches was against like Saul Abelson, and those are really, really good.
good old Saul.
Yeah.
Look, it would have made a great gi matchup, but we already had that one. So
Yeah. I'm not disputing it. I'm just
no.
Yeah.
Look, it's a great gi matchup, and Jamie actually asked for the gi. And I was like, not on this one, dude.
No, maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
is an idea.
That'll be
Combat
great.
gi.
Oh,
Why not?
combat gi.
Invisible hook. You can't move.
Cross grip.
Grips. Actually, that could work. Hey,
know,
you're
guys.
onto something.
Hey, Renzo Gracie. No, Renzo. What was the first Gracie in the UFC? I've gone blank.
Oh, Heron.
No.
No.
Hoist.
Oh,
Hoist,
Hoist, sorry.
I mean, if Hoist can do it,
Yeah.
Yes, Hoist Gracie.
Well, he tended to choke people out more than.
yeah.
Fair
Anyway, yeah, this is going to be a great all-round display of martial arts as a whole, but of jiu-jitsu specifically, I think.
Yeah, and also like two leaders for their respective gyms. Obviously, Jamie's got a new gym to come out and lead from the front, and
Yes.
like, and this is important, and I think it's something I speak to guys quite a bit as we go and like see guys in the gyms and that is how to carry yourself in competition, not just about the win. You know what I mean? Like go out and don't be afraid to go out there and put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to go out and lose. Don't be afraid to go out and win. Ching is very outspoken about dealing with nerves and anxiety and getting into his own head before he competes, but still faces that head on. You know what I mean? I think that's a very important message to send back to your gym. You know what I mean? To lead from the front like that, which is very cool to see. Obviously, two younger guys in age, not in experience. You know, like leading from the front,
Yeah.
which is going to be, I think it's always going to be beneficial for them. It's going to be beneficial for their students that want to consider competing. So respect to the both of them. I'm excited for this matchup. It's going to be very cool. It's going to be very, very, very,
Yeah,
cool.
as you said, all round, both very skilled,
Yeah.
and it's just going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good luck to those two lads.
Yes.
And then the co-main event, which is a number one contender for the 77 kilo weight title. They'll be facing Jordan McClure in the new year at our first title defense, Reese van der Merwe and Christy Camp.
So high stakes.
Yeah, high stakes. So obviously Reese is the lightweight champion, but for whatever reason, tired of being 70 kilos, wants to come up. He did compete at 77 in the first 8-man. But he was a bit undersized. I think he weighed in at like
He was a small,
71, 72 kilos or something.
But he did well.
No, he did really well, but I think he did notice a strength deficit. So his plan now is to go back up to 77. That's what they asked for. We try to get Jordan a defense on this one, but everything we wanted to do wasn't really working out, so we just decided, okay, let's make a cool number one contender, and we take it from there. Obviously, Chris and Jordan know each other really well. They've trained together in the same gym, teammates. So it was a bit. At least this decides it. They can figure it out.
Fair enough. Battle it out.
Yeah, stylistically, it's a crazy matchup.
Yeah, it's great. Reese's all action. He's very good at like
Pushing
avoiding getting into bad positions and then finding a way out and turning that
True.
tide. We've seen it a few times where he's like about to get beat and then he just whips out some crazy armbar. He's phenomenal at that. He's got really good wrestling as well.
Yeah.
He's aggressive. And on the other side we've got Chris. He's
Also really good wrestling.
Yeah, he's really strong. He's got a really good leg lock game as well. Good bottom game. We've seen.
And incredibly strong on the top. You can see guys that are strong on the top when they get on top by what their opponents, like the expression, you can see he is incredibly heavy.
You see eyes just,
what
have I done to myself?
Shouldn't have been here. That's my life.
Chris.
Oh, how did I get you again?
Chris recently won ADCC as well.
Yeah, he beat Dylan actually.
Yeah.
Teammates.
Yeah, he beat his teammate, but they look very spent after that.
Finished.
That's
absolutely
as
finished.
I can acclaim, like when you fight your teammates, like there's a lot more pride on the line than the actual
Yeah, it's not about the medal, dude. It's bragging rights for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
At least they went for it then.
Yeah.
Chris is a gamer. Like one thing about Chris is he's like it's very hard to see him turn something down. He always wants to go. He always wants to challenge. He's like, it's funny because he's been competing at 83, 84, when realistically 77 is where he belongs. And this is going to be his first real showcase for us at that weight division. That's what I'm excited to see, because that's naturally where he belongs.
Yeah.
Everyone just like they're like, what about Christy Camp as a match? I'm like, dude, Christy Camp is 78 kilos.
Yeah.
79 kilos.
Like he's
you
not
are
very tall.
you are 90.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but he's a big guy. You know what I mean? If he like he tries hard to get up to like 81, 82, like he's just trying nonstop. But realistically, 77 is way more natural for him. I think with his height as well. So again, two guys that are going to literally just go for broke here, and then obviously we're going to see them fight for the title.
Yeah.
Either one of these guys against Jordan down the line is going to be a great.
So
matchup.
what's nice seeing in Sub Kings now, there's like we started off with one format and it shifted a little bit, and now there's some structure that's starting to show. They're like, okay, here's your number one contender fight. Okay, you're new, you get a win or two against, and you start stepping up in competition. And guys like Armand and Joel, you know, there's building like career paths. You know,
absolutely.
It's really
that's exactly the plan. We if there's guys who want to go compete internationally, they want to go to the next level. At least we can offer them experience on a big stage against as high level competition as possible, and see where you go.
I mean, if I'm going to give advice to anyone that's young and wanting to compete, just compete as much as you can, get the experience. That you can't understand how stepping on a big stage for the first time, you see these bright lights, and you just freeze. It's happened to me. I've seen it happen to hundreds.
Well, you can attest that, because like I actually wanted one of the things I wanted to bring you in on here was was it your plan to go fist bump straight for the nail, or was it like nerves that go?
That was the plan. I didn't want to get taken to the ground. I just wanted to go and take down to the ground. But it's definitely like, whether the match is 2 minutes or 5 minutes, that moment or that amount of time that you spend in the match is like, you learn so much exponentially. You grow so much competing. So I agree.
So it's interesting to watch how everyone actually, especially their first time at Sub Kings, how they deal with the nerves. That's always interesting. And I think with like Logan van Heerden is always a great example for me, because he came out deer in the headlights. You could see it straight away. He was panicking.
I've never seen him like that before.
No. He was,
and he's really good.
He's been fighting literally his whole life.
The moment kind of got to him, and instead of like allowing himself to get into the fight, which you only get with experience, he like went straight to the game plan. He's like, game plan is this. You know what I mean? Like, slow down.
You just feel so stiff when you do that. So
and you get tired.
And you've seen a few guys do that, like get a little bit caught by the moment. And it's interesting, like when you start bringing in MMA guys that have competed all over, like in the 8-man we'll get to, like Demart, who's competed on the highest level. He's always got that in his back pocket. You know what I mean? Like, this is nothing. I've done this 100 times.
I'm not getting
they're,
hit.
they're comfortable there.
Yeah,
they're very comfortable there.
So interesting to see how guys deal with that, and it's I wanted to see if that was like a nervy reaction or that was the plan. Like,
I'd say probably a mixture of both. I definitely felt very stiff in that match.
Which is going to happen. That's the key to competing.
100%. Hopefully less stiff the next time.
But you guys put on a good show. It was cool.
Awesome.
And then the one for all the marbles and the super fights. Monique van Staden versus Christy Alves. Again, one of these, it's kind of worked out really nice on how this has all worked out. Monique was obviously originally set to face Jess Munami, who's solely focused on MMA career. Best of luck to her. And then the search began to find the opponent for Monique, which is not always easy. Christy Alves also been around a long time. She's competed internationally. She's competed all over. She speaks fluent Portuguese. She spent a lot of time in Brazil. Husband's a black belt. Lives the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. Like, the whole family's on the mat. Baby, mom, dad, everybody's just there.
When I follow their social media, it's mat or it's surfing.
It's just the BJJ life, dude. It's just
the proper
living,
beach BJJ life.
living the dream. You know, they brought Brazil to Durban.
So lots of experience there. She brings a lot of experience.
She does. A lot of people I don't think they really know. Like, Chrissy been competing here a long time. She has gone overseas. Where did she compete overseas?
I think it was Europeans. Yeah. I think she did Europeans as a blue belt. I know she competed a bunch when she was out at Mendes Bros. Out of Jiu-Jitsu for a bit. I don't know what the results were. I just remember seeing it on social. I mean, she's been around forever. I remember like Warren saying he remembers coaching against her when she fought like Ginny or something. But that must be at least 5 years ago. Yeah.
I think she said she started jiu-jitsu around 2016 or so. Did capoeira first.
Yeah, I remember seeing her at like what was the the Afrikaans town, the Vryheid tournaments.
Yeah.
They were happening. I remember like sitting next to her watching a fight the one time. I mean, that was...
Yeah. So you've got to think, I mean, when it's both of these ladies actually have, like, okay, on Christy's side, pure jiu-jitsu in the house, non-stop.
Yeah.
And Monique's pure combat of some style in the house all the time, you know what I'm saying? So, like, her arrival into jiu-jitsu was based from Martin, and the same, well, Christy met Vlad in Brazil, I think is how she described it, like kind of before jiu-jitsu, and then it kind of happened, you know. So you've got to imagine it's like if you're training and then you're going home and you're watching jiu-jitsu and then you're talking about jiu-jitsu, like that technique development is kind of speeding up all the time. So you're a dummy like me, just goes home and tries his best to like remember what he learned during the day, put it into a journal and then watch a video. You're like, oh, I can't remember this.
So I think like from both of these ladies' backgrounds, because they both have like a family of jiu-jitsu or combat sports, and they've been in for a good couple of years, it really like makes a good matchup on experience and style, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
This one's definitely one for the fans and especially the ladies.
Yes,
so.
Especially for the ladies. I mean, obviously it's like, I've had the chat with both of them, is it we might be pushing the belt a bit, but there's a justification for that. It's, I think, a woman featherweight champion, flyweight champion, lightweight champion as we go is going to just open up the doors a little bit more.
Yes.
It's going to create an aspiration, cool, we can actually go and get some sort of vindication for the work that we're doing. It's going to encourage more ladies to compete on the bigger stage. I think it's going to help everybody, to be honest.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's going to give us a bigger pool of people to choose from. It's going to galvanize a lot. That's the way I see it.
I agree.
And like if you're looking at the lay of the land for female competitors in the country, you're not going to find two better competitors. Obviously, there's Peyton, who's overseas all the time. I mean, we'd love to have Peyton compete here, but she's based overseas. So
based out of Renzo in New York, right?
Yeah.
She just came third at ADCC Open.
Yeah.
Congrats, Peyton. Well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, very exciting one. It's a big one for us. Something we started working off straight on the bat. We knew we had to do a women's title fight as soon as possible, and we needed to find emerging contenders as fast as possible. So nice in the flyweight division, having you guys on. We had quite a spread of a couple of ladies that can contend going forward. So we've built a little bit of depth already. So it'll be interesting to see how we play with those going forward.
I'd definitely say maybe out of the ladies brackets, the flyweight division is stacking up quite a bit. There are lots of flyweight contenders coming up.
And there's a lot of youngsters coming up as well. I hope you ladies have been watching what's happening down below, because there's a few killers on the way.
I'm like, how old is Mila and how much time do I have before I need
That's
to
all
go
of us,
masters?
Oh God.
And there's still like Defy Hansrod, Yusuf's sister.
Oh, she
Defia's
was.
been doing great.
Oh, her wrestling is exceptional.
Jen, I mean, Jen's not going to get any bigger, but Jen, there's Neve, she's a bit heavier, I think.
Yeah, she's like 65 generally.
Yeah.
There's a few from
There's also Monique Kruger, who's a South African wrestler who's been competing in jiu-jitsu a lot. She's definitely...
I know we've got some 16, 17-year-olds that they're still in the junior divisions, but like they're really talented, they're really hardworking. This is what they want to do. So, you know, they're lifetime martial artists already.
Year or two, and
they're
going to be making waves.
Yeah, so there's a lot happening, and that's why like we feel the belt is quite important. I think it's just going to help get that progress going. But yeah, stylistically very exciting.
So I was going to say, can we talk a little bit about the styles here?
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
From what I've seen of Christy, very bottom game, very good guard retention. I rolled with her once a couple of years ago. Very good guard retention, struggled to pass, and then from what I've seen the videos, taking the back, looking for like collar chokes or back stuff. Traditional, but I mean that's what Vladimir is kind of known for, like good pressure and traditional jiu-jitsu. I think Vlad was like a Brazilian champion. As a black belt.
That's good foundation. That's very good foundation.
And then Monique, you know, we've seen her armbar, we've seen her triangle, we've seen her leg lock, we've seen her, you know, that nasty guillotine.
Strong collar tie.
Generally good all
good
round.
At smothering.
I mean, look, I'm gonna obviously be a bit biased because she's my training partner. But funny story from us. I don't know. You want to tell us, Robert?
What, the way I got smothered?
Yeah.
It was a very, very traumatic experience in the most recent submission game.
Yeah.
No,
There's nothing nice about it, eh?
So Monique's about to smother, and like Rourke and I are like, she's about to tap.
The hand was hovering. The hand was definitely hovering.
And then because she heard us shout, she's like, nah.
Slowly close the hand.
Listen,
Wait for a legitimate submission.
I've had now I think 2 black eyes from smothering.
From Rich or from?
No, I'm not going to name. Some of them know who they are. Others don't. I think this one might actually be black by tomorrow from yesterday.
Oh no.
But yeah, it's a horrible technique, but it's also a lot of fun
But very
to do.
but very effective.
Yeah.
Very effective. So
Yeah.
she gets top position, and it's very overwhelming. But I think Christy, lots of experience, remain composed.
Look at. Sorry, I'm cutting you in.
No,
Come on,
yeah.
But like also.
Barely get a word in here with you too.
Like Christy's got, I mean, besides for obviously her husband and coach, there's the other guy, Davey. I don't know too much about Davey at this point. We're gonna get there.
This is a great point. These are 2 camps that are just obviously littered with high level people around them.
Yes.
Christy Alves, it's a small setup. The gym is as big as this room. I don't know how it works, but it works. You've got Vlad, who's very well experienced black belt. Dabi Alankar, who I think people are going to find out is insanely legitimate. You've got Zulu Boy in there. You've got a guy like Christian Deer. They've got other 2 Angolan blue belts in there. They've got a big fluctuation of Durban people coming. They've got a very good wrestling coach, Josh Pretorius, with them a lot. In terms of what's available to them where they are, they've got high level people in there. Good looks. They've got a nice synergy in the gym. Very, very happy space. And obviously, we know Monique is surrounded with very high level people around. So these are 2 athletes. I think we're going to get the best versions of themselves.
Agreed.
They're going to be very well prepared. They're going to be very keen to win. Very, very, very exciting matchup.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm excited.
I know. Buzzing.
Can it be 2? Was it 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Can it be
We're
that
getting
already?
there. We're getting there.
Yeah, so it's a good one. Just on that, this fight is going to be longer. I've been hearing the sounds, one non-stop and one little bit, but like it does make sense after watching the ADCC especially. I think this is where it comes from. Like 10 minutes in a title fight is fine, but we want to provide every opportunity to not go to overtime in this sort of a fight. We want to give both, so this will be 15 minutes is where we've landed, which I think is a nice time.
Agreed.
Cool. To give both enough time to get into the fight and try give them each the opportunity to finish.
And like you said, you don't want it to go into either,
No,
especially
we
for a
don't
title.
really.
You want a submission.
You want that finish, that cemented legacy.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, exciting matchup. Don't miss this one. This is going to be for all the marbles.
That's some nice big news you just dropped on us.
Hey.
Quintet team Jordan Leclos versus team Dallas Jacoby. We've got a very exciting sponsor for this one, which will be all out very soon. Okay, so through the teams, team Dallas Jacoby, you got Dallas Jacoby, Lance Keir, Brandon Gomazulu, your good friend Nathan Thorne, and the massive unit of Sean Combrink. So yeah, so you've got some interesting prospects here. Lance Keir, been around an eternity, very high level brown belt. Been trying to get him back on. He was almost in the middleweight 8-man, but had an injury. I think his knee was a bit damaged or something like that. Some CrossFit injury. I don't know. As CrossFitters do. And then Team Jordan Leclos, who've got the reigning welterweight champion Jordan Leclos, young Christian Deer, also coming from Christy Alves' camp. Tion Gerber, who we've seen a lot of. Young Carl Lundy, and my man Carl Fritzenkotter with the swollen elbow.
Just hopefully not swollen.
Yeah,
No.
hopefully less swollen.
I saw him this morning. He's looking.
Hopefully
looking
less
Okay,
swollen.
he's ready to go.
Yeah, hopefully. One gear Fritz is what we'll call him, because that's just how he is. But yeah, I think this is a nicely contested quintet. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The quintet is more like it's a good time. It's generally in high spirits, but Jordan and Dallas are not going to want to lose. Two guys that are highly competitive. So yeah, it's an interesting matchup. So I always try and balance the quintet. So on Jordan Leclos' side, you've got Christian Deer and Carl Lundy, who are good guys on the rise, blue belts. And then on the other side, you've got well-ranked guys that have been competing a while. Jordan obviously going to be leading the charge there, and then we give him the kill like a dark horse like Tion, who's always going to be a problem to deal with. So we try and balance where it's like maybe one side's a bit heavier and one side's a bit lighter, but the lighter guys are like more technicians, and so we kind of play with it. Yeah, we kind of play with it from there, and I think we've done pretty well here on this one. I think it's going to be very, very, very exciting.
I mean, I'm just looking at this. I can't really predict a winner for you.
Yeah.
The only reason I would kind of lean towards Jordan's team is just because they've been in more
matches.
More quintet matches.
Yeah.
So just on the quintet, 6 minutes per matchup in the quintet is how we're doing it now. So to encourage the pace. Yeah. So it also 6 minutes is very hard to submit these kind of guys. Like of a good level. Nathan was a great addition for me because Nathan also likes to go at a pace and he likes to hunt submissions straight off the bat. Very submission. So he's definitely going to cause some problems on that side. You know what I mean? And it's also these guys don't really know each other, so they've got to kind of like they've got to kind of like figure all of this out.
That's another like interesting aspect again, because they like how do they game plan if they don't know each other's games?
So generally what happens is I'll be quite involved with them to a point, and then I'll remove myself from here because I don't want to know. And generally in the past what we did is the guys had to bring out just before they would give it to our floor manager. This is how we're walking out. And the last time we did it, we kind of just let everybody go out, and you could see they were kind of jockeying about who goes next. And I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like no one knows really what's going on. I don't like people just appear on the mat and like, okay, you guys go.
Us on the commentary team didn't know until we were told to open it.
Are you gonna do that the same format?
So we'll they don't have to tell anybody. They can walk out how they want, and then they can decide exactly how they go from there.
And like I said, I think it's cool that they don't all train at the same gyms, so it's going to be a bit of a
it's also becomes a bit of a celebration of jiu-jitsu as opposed to like this is my team's better than yours. I mean, there's always that element, but it's just a lot more fun.
And like cool for Jordan because we wanted him there to defend his title. Didn't quite work out, but he's going to be there to see who he's going to be facing, which is going to be cool.
Keeps him active, and then you can get like that fancy
the cheesy face off, the cheesy face off.
You know, I live for that.
I don't know if we're going to do that, but we'll see how the night goes.
No, I'll put it out there. Justin's going to win it.
A little belt face off, eh?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Got to.
Cool.
Someone can push someone, throw a water bottle.
We'll just throw one water bottle.
Do not throw water bottles.
Yeah, from the side. I don't know if jiu-jitsu can have a face-off like that. It's going to go viral with throwing bottles unless.
Do you think jiu-jitsu people?
I mean, if you had like Diaz in a higher rolling match versus I don't know, like Jeff Glover.
Yeah, maybe the weed wasn't strong enough. I don't know. I don't know. So that's the quintet. Okay. More to come on that. I think it's going to be cool. High-paced, lots of fun. Everybody wins. Everybody wins in that one. Woo! And then into the one for all the marbles, the 8-man. Let me see if I can remember off the bat without looking at Steph's amazing notes here. So we got, obviously the 8-man has changed as it does as we get close to the time, but I think we've got 8 insanely talented people competing for this one.
Quite a few debuts.
Yeah.
Quite a few debuts.
An interesting mix of like traditional jiu-jitsu versus wrestling heavy approaches and quite a lot of mix. So you've got Wayne Berriman, I'm already putting a blank. Davi Alencar, Felipe Negosha, who's the new guy at Gracie Barra Santon. Sorry, I get mixed up between who's who, but Gracie Barra Santon, Sandila Manangela, who's Chris wasn't all that keen on him cutting the weight, but he was insistent that he did it. So
is that 66?
66, yeah. He fights lower than that.
He fights at 61, but that's a day before when, so it's a big difference.
He's a big guy, but he's already looking a little bit skinny. so
he's almost there.
Yeah, he's almost there. You see, now we've lost complete track. Devin Crenier, Demar Penna, and we're missing one more. Wade Crispay. So I was giving this a bit of thought last night on how these will stack up. Obviously, we look at the black belts. We expect XYZ from the black belt. I haven't seen Felipe yet. I'm still to go there. Everybody that I've spoken to is like, this guy is good. And I got to see Davi and I'm like, this guy is good. I know what the Mart does. This guy is good. Devin, I literally watched Devin Crenier sit guard and play legs the other day. which was a shock to all of us.
Crouch.
Yeah. It was a shock to all of us. But obviously Devin his top pressure is where he's at.
Someone described him to me as a similar style to DeMart, just younger.
Yes, correct. Wade Kerspay, who is going to be very under the radar for a lot of people. If you've watched Wade roll, it's horrible because it's just non-stop pace. He moves. It's like if you've rolled with BK, for example, very similar kind of thing, just a slightly bigger version of BK. You're sweating just thinking about it. BK, I weigh probably 100 kilos more than BK, but it's the worst roll of my life. I hate it. I don't ever want to do it ever
just
again.
because of the pace and
it just
pressure.
doesn't stop. You can't grab him. You just can't get a hold of him. It's just impossible.
I feel like that would be Devin as well, because as far as I've seen at Crayon, there are multiple holes in the wall, and that is due to Devin.
Well, like dude's head's getting rammed through.
Just people rolling, legs, who knows.
Landlords are going to love that.
Yeah. Well, it's drywalling, but it's easy to fix. It's not concrete. We're not about concrete wall. We're not going to do concrete wall.
No.
Just to clear that up.
No Tumblr action out here.
Yes.
Just to clear that up. Yeah, so this pool is very tight. Even, with all due respect, if we're looking at the rankings, Wayne Behrman coming in as the least ranked opponent in terms of his belt, well, him and Devin. Devin obviously has a lot of, real world competition experience. But Wayne Behrman can pose a lot of problems in this format. We saw him. Desi was on a tear, and then he hit a pause at Wayne. And Wayne passed his guard a couple of times, I think. Can definitely cause some problems. You know what I mean? Also, so you've got, let's say 4 and 4. You've got 4 guys who would probably almost be expected to win, and 4 guys who you wouldn't kind of expect to win. But all 4 can cause a lot of problems. It can cause a lot of big upsets to the kind of top 4, if you put it that way. You know what I mean? Depending on obviously how those first rounds pan out. But it's changed, and it's changed in a way where it's gotten way tighter, which has been awesome. Because sometimes you kind of you're clutching at straws to kind of, okay, well, this guy's going to have to kind of fit in or whatever. Just hope that he gives the person the first round a harder time as possible. This one it's kind of anybody's game. There's guys that you'd expect to win, but it's wide open. That's the way I see it, especially in the rule set, especially guys like Devin who have good wrestling, they can really drag you out. You know what I mean?
Wade on his feet wrestling is really good. We saw him at ADCC Cape Town. I think he won his division, and he came second or third in absolutes. He messaged me. He's like, I just got too tired for the extra weight.
Bigger guy.
He's basically a thicker version of my height.
He's a small dude.
You know, I'm small, fighting up here.
And so did exceptionally well. Yeah.
And again, a guy who's camp has fallen quite nice into place with Don arriving back in Cape Town, Cam, BK, a lot
Prof
of...
Half,
Yeah.
There's a few
good training partners, good teammates.
Good tight-knit group of guys that are really focused on
and just on,
having fun.
Just saying on Devin, Chris and Dole were quite into the if there's an opportunity, put him in. Devin's changed completely, and that's what they're going on about. The Mart, I think we kind of know what to expect. If you watch the vlog, which is coming up very soon with the Mart, he's very honest about. He knows where he's he doesn't see himself as a submission artist. He knows where he lacks, and he brings that world champion mentality. And he's going to be very, very hard to deal with. His wrestling is really good. His jiu-jitsu is really good. The Mart is a legitimate brown belt. He's no chump.
He's been a brown belt since I've been living in Joburg, which is 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
So he's well settled into the brown belt.
I don't know. His wolf choke, it's his own modified dosh choke. That thing is incredibly painful and choky.
So you've experienced it. You've
many times. It's horrible. You're like, cool, I'm underhooking, I'm getting up. No, I'm choking.
Yeah.
So are you anticipating some of that in attempts of that?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I would. Especially, I think that choke comes from his pressure. Yeah. I think that's the secret. That's what happens.
It makes you panic into doing certain things, and then it shows itself.
Yeah, so very interesting. And then obviously, Sandile
is world class.
Also, great wrestling. One thing I'll say about Sandile, I think his submissions, he pulls off submissions from almost anywhere. You know what I mean? He's really good at that. He's really good at dragging you out. He's really good at a lot of things. So, and again, world championship mentality.
And he's got experience at Submission Kings.
Yeah, he's got specific experience as well. Who else? The Brazilians.
Brazilians are going to be dangerous, dude.
So I haven't seen. I've just looked up his smooth comp records and it's Davey Allen card's, quite exceptional. He's very smooth and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't give you too much about his actual style, but everything looks very slick and exceptional. And
again, you'll get to see a glimpse of his style in the vlog.
Yeah.
Dude, just like beautiful to watch. Just like with the Brazilians, the way I see it these days is that the younger guys like Davi and Felipe and the guys that we're going to see, they've still traditional to their roots, but they're very open to like a modern style of jiu-jitsu. They're very knowledgeable in the fact that they have to have a bit of wrestling. They have to be playing like a lot on the legs. They have to be doing X, Y, Z. And I think they're going to be incredibly tough to deal with. It's going to, the way I see it is going to be a lot of like submission threats versus like more wrestling kind of based approaches, and to see how those two kind of interact with each other throughout the whole 8-man. I think that's going to be, that's the theme that I'm looking for really anyway.
Yeah, and the other, what's the Gracie Barra's black belt name? Felipe. I mean, he cleaned up quite easily at ADCC.
Yeah.
Not to put Sindile down, but he fought Sindile. I know.
And if you know Sindile, he's going to want to get that back.
Yeah. Get the way back.
There's that nice added element of a few little intersecting storylines,
It'll be
sure,
interesting to see where on the card.
I'm sure Wade and Devin had probably been pitched fights against each other at some point in the UFC. There's a lot of little stories.
Devin spent a lot of time training with the Mart.
Exactly.
He's got a... Yeah.
And he was supposed to be like the number one contender at one point prior to COVID.
Yeah. So a lot of intriguing stuff. Obviously, for all the marbles, the belt is on the line, 10,000 Rand, which is... The 10,000 Rand seems to be like fall away into the background that no one really cares too much about, but it's still there. It's still a cool thing, So it's... And I mean, for the Brazilians, the big thing for the Brazilians, which I've noticed, is that they arrive here. I think they've started to sense like a bit of a weird connotation between us and the Brazilians, but they want to prove to the community their jiu-jitsu. That's kind of like the underlying theme all the time, which is cool. I appreciate that. I'm like, don't just come and seek me out and train with me because I'm a black belt from Brazil. Let me show you I'm good at jiu-jitsu.
That's I think whether they're aware, there has been some Brazilians in the past that were a little bit like
I think they are.
dodgy and whatever, and kind of took advantage of the community, but they weren't really offering much.
Yeah.
And now there seems to be a new generation of guys being brought in or coming on their own accord in whatever way, and they're excellent and they're offering great services to the community, teaching great as well. And
we're seeing them compete. Emerson Lima, these two guys are going to do it. So
which is awesome because I mean, like besides Dave Aguion, a lot of guys when they come, they're just here to coach, just get paid and get out.
And I think it's always exciting to have black belts from the motherland of jiu-jitsu come and compete with us. I think that's
bringing the knowledge
and completely other styles as well. Like we all know at this point that this gym's gonna have this style, this gym's gonna have this style. But now there's complete wild cards in there, which no one really has any research on.
And it makes it exciting on the day as well.
Sure.
Because like you say, we don't have that much information. So on the day, who are they going to, intimidate or stop in their tracks, or like you said, throw the wild card in there, see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. I must be honest. I think this is going to be the tightest contested 8-man we've had. I think I'm expecting a couple of upsets.
I'm excited to see how the new rules that you're adding in as well come into play, and hopefully a lot less EBI overtime, and we're seeing a lot more submissions in this one too.
Yeah, I think we will. To be honest, I think we will. I think these are guys that are they're going to go for the kill. Yeah, that's the way I see it.
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
7 October, ladies and gentlemen. So that's 7 October. We will be back on Mapedi Street in Benzinville. Again, everyone loves it. Don't pretend like you don't hate that, like you don't love Invel. Don't tell me anything. That's the title up for grabs, 66 kg division, 10,000 Rand, women's flyweight title, first one of its kind, 8 super fights, Quintet. For all the marbles, we will be live on YouTube as always. The draw should be I don't know the date, but it's going to be the weekend before the weekend, if that makes sense. So probably the Friday before, we'll do the draw, so everyone will know their first round picks. The old papaka, name after papaka. We stick to tradition here. We'll see you then. Make sure you tune in. Thanks for your time.